Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Midweek Madness. We have a very mighty episode for you. Today, I'm very happy to have Keith on the stream. Hello, Keith. How you
Hey,
doing, buddy?
good, and you? Thanks for
Good,
having
good, good.
me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. How's your day been?
Good, busy, Nick. I just literally logged off my main job and then ran downstairs so I could be part of this show.
Well,
So that's how my day's going.
I appreciate the dedication. So for my kind of tell my audience a little bit about yourself. Let's know the man behind the comic.
Yeah, my name's Keith Gleason. I'm the creator of the Mighty Mascots for Alterna Comics. I've been a lifelong comic fan. I wanted to be part of this industry ever since I was a little kid. So I was like one of those kids that actually knew what he wanted to be when he grew up, you know? So that was always good. Just been an overgrown kid my entire life, basically, you know? So making comics professionally probably since like 2005, going to conventions since then as well. And yeah, just making comics, the love of the medium, basically, you know.
So would you say are like your inspirations or just like favorite characters that you've always gravitated towards throughout the years?
Oh geez, that's a lot of answers. I probably say like when I was a little kid, my inspirations were more comic strip guys because that's what I wanted to be at first. Is like
Bill
so
Watterson.
Charles Schultz, yeah, Bill Watterson, Schultz, and Gary Larson. You know, growing up, those guys were all were my jam. When I got into comics, probably my favorite character, the first comic I ever got was a Spider-Man comic. So that was like probably my, him, and then like Batman, like very boring answers, and then later on I found characters that I really love, like Moon Knight, Swamp Thing, like some of the out of the box kind of things. I like a lot of, different comics and stuff, so that's a tough question for me to nail. But as far as creators go in the comic industry, I was getting into the comics, right before the 90s. So this is like 1980, I want to say like 87, maybe 88. So the comics I was reading, I think like, it was like J.M. DeMatteis, guys like that, like right before the big image boom in the 90s. And then, of course, McFarlane and all those guys. And then, as I grew up, I just discovering Jack Kirby. When I was a kid, I couldn't understand the appeal of Jack Kirby. But as I grew older and I started seeing more of his work and what he contributed to the industry, I became a huge fan. So, later in life, I found Kirby, so. But
yeah, Kirby's one of those people who is so foundational to how we even think about comics. Like, because he was, like, you gotta realize, he's a co-creator of Captain America. Like, he was in the trenches that early on.
Oh yeah,
and
he's next level. Like he's, when they talk about like people that are geniuses, like him, Stan Lee, those guys, they created legendary, characters. It was just it's good stuff.
So we got some shout outs. Hey, Dr. Eno, nice to see you. And then Taladia, thanks for stopping by as well. Always
thanks
always
for joining
appreciate
us.
my guests going by. So obviously, with you being such a huge fan, eventually you kind of get to the point where you want to create your own stuff.
Yeah.
So kind of tell us how kind of the process. How did that happen? And then kind of from there, kind of go into talking about your book.
Yeah, definitely. So as I was growing up, this is where I'm gonna say, like, when I was in college and stuff, it was like the 90s, like the mid 90s and things like that. So at the time, trying to make an independent comic was like kind of tough because, it wasn't like now where it's like you have you go online, you just say comic printing, type it in, you find a bunch of places that'll print comics. At the time, it was more like, thinking about calling like a printing press and like, how do you do, what I mean? Like, I just didn't understand it. And like, how do you set up, you didn't even have files then. You had to like, make everything like as like a, a hard, like you actually had to
plates.
send in the artwork. Printing plates, yeah. So it's like, so at that time I was like, I didn't think making comics was realistic. So I would draw comics, but I would just have them sit in a pad or something, and and they'd all be like half finished or that kind of thing. But I also made comic strips at the time, and I think when I made my first comic, it was like actually made one is like 2005, as I had kind of drifted out of drawing for a while, and then me and my buddies were making like a web series called Hero Envy, and that kind of stopped after about 30 episodes, and then I was like, well, let me take out these characters we created and make a comic book with it. So that's what I kind of did. So from like 2005 to 2008, I made my first miniseries, which was 3 issues for Hero Envy. It took me about a year each issue, trying to get the artist and everything done. And then I just printed it with like Kablam or like Comic Express. I can't remember which one, but it's one of those online.
I've used Kablam myself. They're actually pretty decent quality.
Yeah, and the one I love now is
Comics Wellspring.
Yes, Wellspring. Yeah, I think they have the best quality now as far as
I actually agree. And the best part about Comics Wellspring is I actually live like 20 minutes from where they print their comics.
Do you really? Oh, that's perfect. So you don't have to pay the shipping.
No, I just drive down there and picking up directly from the printers. The people who work
awesome.
They are delightful to talk to and just work with. They're really great people.
They genuinely seem like comic fans. Like they love comics. Like just on their
they
website.
Care about their craft.
Yeah, they do, and that's why I like them. They make quality product, and then also I just found out too, which is really helpful for indie guys, is that they can do fulfillment now for your campaigns. That's crazy, and they also give you a discount on printing, that's awesome. So indie creators out there, check out Comics Wellspring.
What you gotta do is you put like a tagline in your campaign, say this comic is going to be printed Comics Wellspring. They give you like 15% off. It is a godsend. Let me tell you that.
I mean, that 15% is huge, especially like even if it just pays for shipping to you, like that's like a huge thing, So indie creators, check them out.
Like the thing is, if you're printing like 500 copies, you're going to be spending like $1,100. So like that 15%, you just knock off like at least $100 right there. Yeah. That is a big deal.
That's more money in your pocket. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So can't recommend them enough.
Neither can I.
But so we had made that first miniseries. It was me and a couple different artists. Like I have an artist for the first issue. He wigged out on me, so I ended up getting a different artist to do 2 and 3. So
the stories we could share.
Oh my god, yeah! Everybody has that story that's made comics. I think
Like I swear, I could write a script for these people because it all plays out the same. It's like and this is back when like I was trying to do like a percentage kind of thing. I don't like do that anymore. I actually pay people now. So
that's the best way to do it, definitely.
Yeah, obvious. Yeah, for sure. But like, I try to get these. Like, I get, oh yeah, I'd love to do your comic, and then like, I set out my term, like, hey, like, okay, I would like at least a new page every week. You kind of update me, and if something happens, let me know. A week happens. I say, hey, where's the comic? They're like, where's the page? Like, oh, I'll get it for you on Monday. Monday happens, they disappear. Maybe they do the first week, and it's like you try chasing them down, and eventually they all say the same thing. I have a life, Yeah. It's like,
right.
It is so hilarious that they all freaking say that.
Yeah, they have the same excuse.
It's like you agreed to do a comic, and like, if you don't want to do the terms, then you should just back out, and that would have been fine.
Yeah, well, I think it's part of the, like as a writer, and you wanted to be a good collaborator with an artist, so you always like, hey, let me get you your money. Let me pay you up front, and this and that. But it's not. It doesn't work out usually. Like sometimes it does, but not usually.
I mean, I'll do it most half up front. Like if I know a person and like I've worked with
I
them
would
like
do
a
that,
bunch of
yeah.
times and I trust them, sure, I'll pay them full up front. You know, like there's some artists where I work with them enough, like, okay, I know you're good for it. Sure, I'll pay you
Right.
up front.
So usually you have that relationship. Yeah, it's perfect. It's like when the ones you don't know. I tend to do the like, send me 4 pages and I'll pay for 4 pages. And usually, like, as soon as they send me that they're done, I immediately, no matter where I am, I jump on PayPal, send them the money right away. Because I know how that is too. You know,
Yeah.
the artist wants to get paid as soon as they send something. So I try to be like a good employer, I guess.
It's a give and take. It's a
It is a give and take. You know,
and I try to respect people, you know, and for the most part, you know, I feel like when you give people respect, they give it in return. You get your butt heads, of course, but like,
yeah, of course.
I you know, it's just I follow the golden rule: do unto others what you want them to do unto you. That's really how
that's the best rule, and I'm the same way. I put out respect, and then, you know, I either give it back or I don't, depending on how people react or, you know, come at me, I guess. You know, so
yeah, I'm just. It's just I'm just not a fan of like when they don't respect my time or whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, right. Because you're colleagues, so you want to be kind of on the same level, you know, like I respect you, you respect me, kind of thing, you know. So especially like since the writer 9 times out of 10 is mostly the project coordinator on a comic as well and driving everything. Yeah, so you kind of want to make sure that your time is respected on top of, you know, the artist, you know. It's a give and take, like we just said, you know.
So you're an artist. That's the camp that you kind of fall in.
I'm a little bit of both. I'd say nowadays I'm more on the writing side. I do art, but my art is very cartoony, like, you know, comic strip kind of art. So when I do a comic book, you know, especially like Mighty Mascots, like I'm looking for more of a superhero style. So that's why I hire out artists, because I know my strengths and I know I can't quite get that look that I'm looking for, you know, with my own skills. But I do I also do lettering, so I letter my own books, so I save some money there. So I'm primarily a writer and a letterer, and then if I do any art, like I said, it's very comic strip oriented or, you know, something like that. So
well, let me ask you kind of the eternal question.
Yeah, sure.
So artist versus writer, when it comes to comics, which one's more important in your opinion?
Oh God, jeez, that's it, you know, that's a tough one to answer.
I just think it's really
being a cop out. You know?
Well, my answer would be they're both important. So.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Like, you know, like you often hear those arguments about.
I think it's stupid to argue about it. That's my.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's a match made in heaven. Like they both complement each other. Like you can almost survive. You know, like you have the best story in the world, but if the art doesn't there, like the interest goes away really quick, and vice versa. If you have great art and not a good story, it may be a pretty thing to look at, but you're gonna lose interest fast.
It's like yeah, the best art, the best comic art is the one where you can tell the story without the words. Yes, sure, that axiom is true, but it's a very boring story to read. Honestly, you know, it's a very boring story to read because like. Sure, you can have like your wordless panels, and yeah, those are wordless pages or nothing, or it's just eye glances and whatnot. Yeah, those are cool, but for a whole book, that would get kind of boring fast.
Yeah, and there's always those people that like argue about like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, like which one was more important, and it's like you're talking about the Beatles here. The Beatles a comic. It's like they're only good because they were together. Like, you know, like you take one away and neither of them were as good as them together. You know what I mean? Like, so Jack Kirby, great artist, but he didn't have like that outgoing personality that Stan Lee did. And Stan Lee
the thing about Jack Kirby, sorry to stop.
No, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, and the thing about Jack Kirby, one of the things that went on full display is when he left Marvel and DC and created the New Gods, his storytelling wasn't the best. Like, sure, he created great characters and these amazing worlds, but like the stories themselves, you know, like you can kind of tell, where Stan Lee was. And I know a lot of people say, like, oh, the Marvel method, the artist created the stories and Stan Lee just, created the words. That's true to a degree, but like he created the outlines and plus good dialogue is really hard to write.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And what I was gonna say is,
all right, take care, D. Rhino. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for stopping by. Check it out on the replay. I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, some good discussions already going on.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, I agree with you on that. It's like, plus you can't discount everything Stan Lee did for making comics as like household name as they are. Like he was a big champion for comics. Whereas Jack Kirby was more of a quiet guy. But both geniuses in their own way. I think,
Stan Lee perfect? Did he do some arguably scummy stuff? Yes.
Yeah.
But like, no one's perfect. You know, like
exactly.
Jack Kirby wasn't perfect. Steve Ditko. Now there's a perfect person with a very not black and white history. If you get
right. But like them together is where the magic came from. So it's like that's why. So that's my long-winded answer to that question.
It's like to get back to your Beatles analogy. It's like together they made some of the greatest music ever. But when we pulled them separate, they're
not as good. Good, but not as good. Like
exactly.
It's just the magic was together. So yeah. So so that's a hard answer to give, without being like wishy-washy, I guess, where it's like...
I mean, my answer is the wishy-washy answer. So
I think that's the right answer, though. I think
I agree.
You can't choose one or the other. Like, they can't exist without the other, so...
Because, like, on the flip side, because, like, artists like to, claim art is more important. But, like, on the flip side, you get these like, writer-centric comics to go too far, where it's like walls and walls of text. That's way too far at that point. You might as well just write a novel. It's like,
we're looking at you, Alan Moore.
I actually looked at his script for Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
That I was like, Alan Moore, could you please press the all caps button at least? Could you please turn off all caps, please? For the love of God. It's like it is like not so much a script, but more of like a set of incoherent ramblings that somehow the artist turned into one of the best comics ever.
Oh yeah, and I've heard his scripts for like Watchmen were like, 2 pages for one, like just one page of the comic. It's like, my God.
hate to see what it was for V for Vendetta.
Yeah, right. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
but brilliant. I mean, like you think about a brilliant writer in comics. I mean, what's going on in that guy's head, I have no clue, but
I mean, the way he dresses himself, I'm sure it's cleanliness is not on the menu.
Yeah, it's true. But
and in all fairness, yes, Alan Moore is one of my favorite comic book writers ever. Like,
definitely.
He is a genius without peer.
Bendis is like really wordy too. Like he has a lot of pages that are just dialogue.
And Bendis can be hit and miss himself as well.
Big time. And I was gonna say, so it's hard to like nail, like when you have a writer with a lot of dialogue, that's kind of tough. It also makes it not fun for the reader sometimes. Like I know when I look through a book and I see a lot of dialogue, I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I can read this right now. You have to prepare for it.
That's something that I myself have struggled with as a writer. Is I want to like create this great dialogue, but like I've had artists literally call me out and be like, "Hey, I'm trying to draw
too much here."
So like I've had to learn to pull myself back and kind of
learn how to break it up a little bit. Yeah.
Or at the very least, do a less is more approach. Like I try to apply like an Ernest Hemingway kind of style, where it's like saying the most with the least amount of words.
Yeah, that's smart.
Like like the whole six word. I always go back to the 6-word novel. Which I think really wasn't him, but it gets attributed to him. Like you've heard of that.
Yeah.
For sale, baby shoes never worn. Like that. I keep kind of coming back to that because it's like it's kind of like a chest that you open up where it's like so compact, but like you open it up and just all these ideas come out of it. And that's kind of what I strive to be as a writer, to write the kind of dialogue where it's like you get so much from so little.
Yeah, true. And as a comic book writer too, there's so many like rules you got to follow. that you don't necessarily have when you write a novel. Like you're trying to fit like this story within a certain amount of pages, and you
or how
want
many times
scenes.
characters can go back and forth.
Yeah, you want scenes
like,
to start at the beginning of a page, not in the middle. Things like that. It's just,
yeah.
it's a lot to work with, and it's a lot to think about. That a lot of
people
a juggling
act.
Really...
Like
it is.
Like if you have less panels on the page, you might be able to get away with doing more dialogue. But like if you got like 6 panels and you have a panel that has like 5 dialogue balloons, that's going to be half the page.
Yeah. Yep.
So you got to be mindful of it.
Right, and you don't want it to be too long so that it doesn't. You don't have to cover up all the art. So it's a whole thing.
I try to think of like each page as like an individual scene and kind of go that way. Like
that's a smart way to do it. Yeah, definitely.
Or like sometimes a scene will be multiple pages, but a scene always ends on the last panel of the page. You know.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Smart.
For dramatic effect, I'll have like an establishing shot on the previous page kind of stuff, but like, and
that's fine as long as people know it's going somewhere else,
Yeah, and then it's also for me, I'm very cognizant of like flow and how things kind of go. Like I kind of like because like I also studied animation and it's like I kind of like with animation, the less frames you use, the faster it goes. And like the more frames, the slower. I kind of do the reverse of that. So like when I want like a really quick pace scene, I'll use more panels, and when I want to slow it down, I'll use less. I mean, and that usually works out pretty well because like the fast paced scenes are action. Like honestly, my fights are almost all dialogueless.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Because like I choreographed it in my head, and like maybe I'll have like one line here and there, but like. And I'll have like 6, maybe 7 panels and whatnot, and they're fighting because I'm really good at choreographing the kind of stuff in my head. Like repeated watches of The Matrix will do that to you, And then like dialogue scenes, there'll be like maybe 4, and then another kind of thing I do is I try not to have the same amount of panels page to page. Like it'll be like I try to go in 3 like. 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, you don't do like the 9-panel grid like people do sometimes. You just try to shake it up a little bit, like so it's not.
I think the most panels I've done was like 8, but that was kind of
okay.
But like maybe it was like a fight scene or something or whatever. I try to keep it to 4, 5, 6. That's kind of my range of panels.
Okay.
That works usually 5 or 6, but sometimes I'll slow it down. The least sometimes I'll do a 3-panel. And then obviously, on occasion you have your 1 or 2s or your 1s.
Okay.
The 1s are obviously for like the big moments.
Yeah, like the big splash pages and things like that. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, similar. I do. The way I write is kind of backwards. Like I don't recommend anybody to write comics the way I do. Is like I kind of approach it first like a screenplay where I just. Don't worry about the format of the comic. I just let the characters talk, and it kind of like I transcribe it down on the page, and I just kind of write basic things like where they are and what's kind of happening, and then I go back and then start breaking it down after that. So I start figuring out how much of the scene should be, how many pages it should be, how many panels, things like that.
Yeah.
But for it's me, like kind of a backwards way to write it.
Yeah, for me, I'm more of a think of the story, write an outline for the story.
Yep, you do the outline
and because like usually the way I structure it is like moment to like point A to point B, like A, B, C, D, and then like I write the connective tissue between them. Usually for my comics, I try to mentally shoot for between 20 and 24.
Yeah, that's smart.
Sometimes it'll be 18 or whatever.
You just but yeah, pinups,
or like have you ever kind of had a situation where like you need to I need to manufacture one more page, so like you shuffle around the panels a little bit so that
I've had to do that.
Look, it's those are always fun. Or like for example in my comic screen share I got two single full page splashes, but it's like when the costume's revealed and then like the last panel, so it's like okay. It's a little excessive, but it works,
Yeah, some people use a lot of splashes, so I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't worry about that. As long as it's used for the effect, like I think that's fine, totally.
Yeah, like the first one you see is like oh, you're going down into this cave. It's like, oh, we had a fallback plan, and then like he, what's the fallback plan? He unveils the case, the thing. It's like in a glass case, and he's like, this is the fallback plan,
Yeah, that's great.
And then then the last one is like her and like her Alfred character, like bring it on kind of thing. So that's cool. Another thing I kind of like to do in storytelling is another thing of me is like I'm also a musician, and so like I kind of bring some little sensibilities, because like music creation is conflict and resolution. It's like like that kind of thing, and then I like to kind of ebb and flow, but I also like those kind of slam moments, where it's like you got your storytelling, it's building up, and then boom, like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and I love doing those. I love doing those kind of things. And it's like I sometimes often think of like my scripts as like a song, where you got your crescendos, you got your hills, peaks, valleys. You got a few moments that slam here and there, and then towards the end, it kind of gets whatever.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like I'm not a musician, but yeah, you can tell with songs and stuff, it has like all of that stuff,
Yeah, the easiest way to illustrate it is shave and a haircut, 2 bits. That's the easiest way. That's the easiest way I can describe like the whole like conflict resolution. Shave, it's like shave and a haircut. Like you're waiting for the 2 bits, and then when it, kind of thing.
And you have that flow, like it's like flows like the song, like with the comic. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What's your approach to dialogue? Since we're kind of having a writer on writer talk, how do you approach your dialogue?
That's first, like with me, like I try to know each character in and out that I create, and then when I just kind of listen to them, like I'll put up my Word document, start, and I just let them talk in my head, but I'm also guiding, because you use the outline to guide where the story goes. So you kind of like, as they start talking, you kind of throw in little things to kind of guide them towards those points in the outline, so, I mean, it's kind of, sometimes it'll surprise you, like when you just start transcribing the dialogue from, hearing them in your head, and it kind of goes in some other direction, or you start writing, or you start finding that one of your characters becomes more of your favorite to write and than other ones. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. It's all that it's hard to describe, but as a writer, like where all that comes from. But like, I think any writer,
they take a life on their own.
It's the same with you, I would imagine too, right? Like once you have the outline and the story where it's going, then you kind of set up all the characters in your head and say, all right, let's follow this map to get to the end, and you kind of like go in weird tangents with the dialogue sometimes, but like overall, like
it's
like kind of works
you have this personality for one character, and then when you're writing them, you start kind of doing like, oh, hey, this is a serious character, and all of a sudden they start making quips and like, definitely. I guess they're a semi-serious character.
Yeah, right. Like with my series Mighty Mascots, it's I use like archetypes because it's a team. So I use like, the typical team dynamics you see on most comics, like you have the strong character, you have the cunning and tactician leader, and you have the intelligent guy, and you have the funny guy with the quips. So you start with those archetypes, but then it's like you take your characters and you try to find a new angle with that stuff. So that's sort of what I did with Mighty Mascots. And some of them I came up with like like my strong guy kind of treated a little bit like the Hulk, where he doesn't really talk. It made sense because he's a bear, so it's like so it was easy not to have him talk, and
just take care of Taladia.
What's that?
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely check us out later. This is a good discussion. But so that's kind of where I start, and then same with villains. When I come up with a villain, I try to find a new angle for, try to make it so I always like villains in the gray. So I like to see. When I write a villain, I like to write them in a way that you could kind of see their point of view, but not really. You know what I mean? So like somebody
I'm a
like
big,
Magneto. Like I always loved Magneto.
I was just about to say Magneto because like I have like this such a love for Magneto because like I think he's like such a incredibly nuanced character.
Like, big time.
He's like the bullied who becomes a bully, you know, like
right, and just a couple different things in his life, and he would have been a hero, you know. So it's like I love stuff like that, you know.
He's like the classic character of like I hate what you're doing, but I understand why you're doing it, and in some ways I don't blame you for feeling the way you do.
Exactly.
And I love these characters because like they're such a reflection of humanity and ourselves. Because like we see these characters and we see like, okay, if I was in his situation, I'd probably be doing the same thing. And it's like, and then you think, how does that reflect on me? It's like that's why people latched on to Killmonger from Black Panther so much.
Yeah,
it's because he's kind of cut from that same mold.
Yeah, you're right. And that, great villain, just like you said. Really, really well thought up. And you can see his point of view, you know. Mm-hmm. So I love that stuff, you know. They even did that a little bit with Thanos too. You can kind of see where he's coming from a little bit.
I mean, to the point where Infinity War is his movie.
Yeah, definitely.
He's the protagonist of that movie. Like Infinity War is a great movie. Endgame is good as well, but like Infinity War is like infinitely, better because like
definitely
it has like kind of has this like feel to it where it's like the hero wins. You know, like Endgame is a bit more by the numbers kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas Infinity War, it's like there's so much nuance to it, and it's like you have a villain, he's like, I respect you, as he's beating the crap out of them, you know.
Yeah, I love that.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the villains that have honor too. Like like they're villains, but they'll they're honor bound. You know, like I love stuff like that too.
It's funny you say like villains and honor because like the first thing that came to mind is Zuko from Avatar because like that's literally his whole shtick is like honor, you know.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like a Marvel version of that. Maybe something like Silver Samurai or something like that, where they have like their own their own set of honor, like Mystique. Like or personal values, I guess, or
Mystique.
Mystique, yeah, great one, yeah.
Mystique for sure. I'm trying to think of villains because like we could talk about anti-heroes, but like that's not really what we're talking about here. But like I'm trying to think of other like Marvel villains who have that kind of thing. Well, if we want to venture into DC, there's Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, great one. Great one.
Villains with honor.
Yeah.
I love the dynamic. Like it's like one of I like Ra's al Ghul. It's like he's like the only villain to where like Batman can break into his compound, beat up all his guards, and as soon as he gets them into it, he's like, detective. Took you longer than expected.
Yeah, right.
And then they go and then they have tea and talk about what it is, and he just leaves.
Yeah.
I just love that whole dynamic.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Great villain, yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. And but I love the whole like his daughter, and I love the whole like Damien is his son. I love all that stuff. They just do it perfectly.
Damien is a character that I absolutely hated him at first, but like
it's great though.
He got better where like he wasn't as much of a cocky little shit.
Yeah,
he actually.
That's what I kind of like about him though.
He was still a cocky little shit, but he wasn't like as immature.
I loved how arrogant he's like arrogant, like and like.
He went from more cocky to arrogant.
Yeah. I love how he's like, I could take on anybody, and like you ain't stopping me. Like he's
and the worst part is he's kind of right.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good character. Like I liked him, right out the gate, and I still like him now. Like I think he's still a great Robin, So
heck, I think the only reason Damien respects Nightwing is Nightwing is probably one of the only people who could actually beat him in combat.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's the only reason he even respects him and puts up with him because he recognizes his skills.
It's good stuff. That was one of those characters, like a newer Robin that I didn't think people really liked at first, but now he's like an established character now. Like now he's...
Yeah, it's kind of like with Miles, where it's like Miles really wasn't the best character when he was first introduced. It really honestly, for me, it was Into the Spider-Verse where they introduced a lot of those stuff. Where it's like I like that version of Miles Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Like it took the movie to like actually make Miles Morales like a really standout character. You know.
Same with Shadow Spider. Now I mean Ghost Spider. You know, Spider-Gwen.
Oh, Ghost Spider.
Like
yeah,
actually, I love the dynamic between Miles and like I'm actually like excited for the next movie. It's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so too.
Also, Oscar Isaac's voicing 2099 is like perfect casting.
Oh, really? That's cool. I didn't know he was doing the voice. That's awesome.
Yeah, they had him in the post-credit scene.
Oh, cool. I like that.
Oh,
I like 2099.
Yeah, they did like he was a post-credit scene, and like he actually jumped dimensions into Spider-Man 69, like the cartoon, and they did the pointing meme.
Oh, nice! I love it.
Like it was actually in the style of the cartoon, so it was like
That's great. I love it.
I just love how like Marvel and like the movies have kind of embraced the pointing meme. Like,
yeah.
When they did No Way Home, when they got them together in their costume, the first thing they did
great.
was the memes. It was so great.
Yeah, that was great. I love that. But yeah, no, that's a great example of like a character that kind of started off kind of like, I don't think anyone really loved Miles Morales out of the gate, but like over the years they've stuck with it, and I think Into the Spider-Verse kind of brought him to the next level, and now I think he's really a solid character, you know?
I think for me, the thing that kind of makes Miles work as opposed to like these other characters is Miles is not a replacement for Spider-Man. He's another Spider-Man in this universe.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the problem with a lot of these other characters like Ironheart, Amadeus Cho is they were replacements for these beloved characters. And I think that's something that like I think Marvel is kind of getting wise to that fact. Like for example, Kate Bishop. For a while they're trying to have her replace Hawkeye, but actually she works better as a character in addition to Hawkeye. Like I love the Disney Plus series is actually one of my favorites. I love that.
Yeah, like I like too that they didn't go for the obvious like that she's amazing immediately, like like she actually takes some lumps skill. In that, like
she obviously had skill, and,
right?
And Hawkeye recognized her skill. It's like, but it was more of like, hey, you're good enough that I can have you tag along. It's not that you're better than me, but I recognize that you're good enough that you can keep up with me. And he taught her some stuff, and actually thought that worked out a lot better. Because like
I think so too.
I just hate these characters where it's like they come in and be like, I'm better than you for no reason. It's why like
I think it's really exactly what you're saying, that why those other ones don't work is because they were doing that, and they weren't thinking about making a character from the ground up and making it, something to stand on its own rather than just
like if Rhodey became Iron Man, no one would mind,
Yes,
he has 30 plus years of history, or he's been Iron Man before,
right? Well, same thing when Falcon took over being Captain America. Falcon's been there since the beginning,
Yeah, I mean, I wish Bucky could have done it, but Falcon's like Falcon. I mean, it is what it is,
Yeah.
I think Falcon is just as worthy as Bucky. Honestly, it could be either or.
Yeah,
in my
definitely. And I think that was like, if you're gonna replace Cap, one of those two is the way to go. I think So, and I know Bucky. At one point, Bucky was Cap for a little while, but it didn't last long. You know, but I don't know. But yeah, no, all good, solid points, about characters and what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, like I'm kind of concerned about the new Black Panther because, like, they're doing Ironheart and her costume looks really bad. I'm not a fan of the character.
Is she supposed to be in the new movie? I haven't been keeping up with it much.
And like, I supposedly there's going to be a new Black Panther.
Right? What's that?
Oh, yeah. Like, I'm not sure how to feel about him not being from Atlantis. Like, it's like Atlantis is a fictional place. Like, they think he could be confused with Aquaman, but like,
yeah, no one does that. And it's like, then why weren't we confused with Quicksilver and the Flash? It's like, you know what I mean? But that's to me what the same thing. It's like, why not have Atlantis?
I mean, Quicksilver is even better because there are two Quicksilvers going on the same time.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like, and people aren't confused by that. So it's like,
and we have two Batmans currently going on right now. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I don't
know
why
actually, I want both of them to continue. Like, I want Batfleck to be like the Batman in like the main universe, and he fights parademons, and then you have Robert Pattinson have his own self-contained universe, and you have him do his stuff. Like, I think they can just coexist.
Yeah, why not? Move one into like a series or something, maybe, and then just do the other one with movies. People would get it. Like, it's
Yeah,
we have the internet now, so you'll always know about something.
Potentially
before.
we'll have 3 Batman on film, because they're bringing Keaton back. It's like,
right. Yeah, exactly. So.
And we literally just did a film with 3 Spider-Men.
Right. So it's like we get it now.
From 3 different eras, and it was fine.
Yes. Exactly. It's like that's why the Submariner thing's a little weird to me. Like, I'm like I feel like you, where I'm not sure how to feel about it, because on one hand, it's like, why wouldn't you bring Atlantis in there? That could open up a whole other cool thing with the Marvel universe, and then, just not, like, I don't know. Like, is he even gonna have the little wings on his feet and all that?
Because like the whole thing was like, I think he's like some sort of like supposed to be based off like South American, whatever, like Aztec.
Like Aztec,
stuff,
I think they said.
But isn't Wakanda on the other side of Africa though?
I think so, yeah.
So it doesn't really make sense for like a South American kind of thing to be based off of. Like, honestly, if you wanted to have it be based off of like Pacific Islander, that would make more sense. Like, more Filipino, some kind of Samoan kind of thing. Like that.
I think that could work. It's like it's almost like why discount the Atlantis thing? But whatever, maybe it'll be good. And I mean, as long as he's like, arrogant and I guess a jerk, it'd probably work out okay. Like, I don't know. We'll see.
I'm just waiting for the Fantastic Four movie so we can start hitting on Sue Storm.
Right? Yeah, definitely. That's coming soon.
Oh, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hoping John Krasinski stays as Mr. Fantastic.
He's great.
And like, I want Emily Blunt as Sue Storm. Like, I want that
That'd be
dynamic.
Perfect.
I just want like
seeing her in the Quiet Place movies. She can do it. She definitely do it.
I mean, she's a great action star. She's a great actress. Like Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that one.
She was great in that one.
I hope so, because like I've been like really disappointed lately with some of the Marvel stuff coming out, and like I hope stuff like I'm really looking forward to Blade. I can't see what they do with that, and then also
like I wish Wesley Snipes come back, but Mahershala Ali, he's a good actor.
Great replacement, yeah, and I bet they'll stick Wesley in there somewhere as like a cameo, like, or he'd be great to make him like Whistler or something, like. Why not?
I'm sorry, but like you're not gonna top Chris Christopherson as Whistler. Like
that's true. Like, that's a tough one to top.
No one said chicken shit better than he did.
That's true. Yeah, that's still one of the best superhero movies ever made. I think Blade.
I just love because he's like just constantly just done with Blade shit. Like he's just like,
I love that movie. I still like throw that on once in a while. Yeah, I just wish that. I wish they would go back and do a nice Blu-ray and fix the effects, though, and then it would be a perfect movie,
I mean, honestly, like I don't see why they wouldn't, because Blade is so important, and it's
it's great.
I think people would buy it.
Yeah, definitely. I saw that Wesley Snipes getting into comics too. Did you see that?
Yeah,
which is interesting. That's cool. I like that. He's got like he loves comics, so that's great.
He's probably pulling the Keanu Reeves, like
a little bit,
doing Berserker and then doing a movie based off that he can play. I mean,
yeah, why not?
Fair play, I
Makes
guess.
sense. Makes sense. Why not? Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
These Hollywood guys, they got the money to fund comics. Us schmoes have to use Indiegogo.
I mean, I'm grateful for the people who support me. So
yeah, definitely. Well, that's what the indie community and indie comics is about in general. Just creating a nice community where we all support each other, and then also like do shows like this, and
So how did you fall in with Alterna? Because like that's kind of a tough nut to crack to get into that family.
Yeah, well, it's like any kind.
I have mad respect for Peter. Like I have mad respect for what
Pete's
he does.
Great. It's like any submission that you would go through to any small company. Like I had met Pete. Pete lives actually kind of close to me. Like I'm up in Massachusetts, and he's up in New Hampshire. So I would see him once in a while at local shows around here.
Ah.
And but I never thought to be part of Alterna. I think the turning point for me was when I because I was submitting Mighty Mascots to like Image and Dark Horse. I was sending it out to all these different companies that were out there at the time, and I had never thought about Alterna. But then he made the big news with the newsprint stuff, and I was like, oh, that could be great. So I submitted to him. You know, he has like anybody out there looking to submit to Alterna. If you go to the Alterna website, there's a whole submission process there. And if you do it, I recommend following it right to a T, because Pete won't even look at it if you don't follow all the instructions on there. So, but anyways, I went and I submitted Mighty Mascots to him, and I got feedback from him like maybe about a month later. He emailed me and he said, I like this book. I like it, but it's, there's a couple things that you need to fix and work on here. So he sent me a bunch of feedback, and he was 100% right on all of it. So he ended it with saying, if you care to do all this stuff and resubmit it, I'll take a look at it again. If not, good luck on your journey, that kind of thing. So I, within the next year, I redid the very first issue of Mighty Mascots. I found a new artist. I worked on the storyline, the feedback he gave about the story. And then once I got that issue done, I went and I resubmitted it to him again. And this time he liked it. He was like, yeah, this is great. This is exactly what I was looking for. So after that, I got a contract with Alterna, and then we did the first miniseries, which was the issues 1, 2, and 3. This was when he still was with Diamond. This is about 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
A couple of years before the pandemic. So my first miniseries came out, went to Diamond, and went to all the stores all over, And then when I started 4, 5, and 6 is when he pulled out of Diamond and started doing more direct sales from the website and stuff. And I really like what he's doing now. I think he's kind of building like the whole Indiegogo thing where he does solicitations through Indiegogo now. And I think it's kind of the future. It's just really,
honestly, Peter is always kind of struck me as someone who's usually about five or six steps ahead of most people.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Oh, an out of the box thinker that just takes a look at the comic industry and tries to do things differently.
I mean, honestly, to get to where he is, you got to be that kind of person. I got mad respect for that dude. I kind of run my own outfit, but I mad respect for that dude.
Nice. Are you thinking of submitting to Alterna at some point?
I maybe at some point, but for one, I don't think mine could probably make the cut, because I'm very much do the best comic book you can and then focus on the next issue, because right now my strategy is just to get to a full volume and then do a trade and get that into bookstores, that kind of. Yeah. I mean, it's a solid enough plan,
Yeah, definitely. You can do everything yourself, It's like.
Yeah, I got 2 different books going. I got Turn Samurai, which is it's a mature comic book, but it's manga based, black and white. So you got that's fine. And then the one I'm kind of doing in October is Screecher, which is more all ages, general audiences, full color, Batman inspired, female superhero, whatnot.
Oh, cool.
And I've been getting a lot of buzz for Screecher, so it's actually really encouraging.
Good. Yeah, I think people like that, because I have a friend that is doing a book on Kickstarter right now called Lady Dark, and it's sort of inspired by early Image stuff, but it it reminds me of Spawn a lot. And the first one got a lot of buzz, and now he's doing the second one. I think things have changed a little bit in the last couple of years with crowdfunding, because I think with the economy and everything, people aren't spending as much, but he's gonna make it. I think he's very close to the goal. I think he's about at least halfway there. But what my point was is that I think people respond to a female character that's well made, you know, like well done, and
yeah, and it's like I got a pretty solid design kind of going. It's like a owl base, like a
oh,
kind
I
of
like
mixture of
that.
like Batman, Moon Knight, with like the cape is based off of Dove from Titan, so it's got like those feathers on it,
Oh,
and like she
cool.
kind of flies like Batman Beyond kind of stuff,
Oh, I like that. Yeah, it sounds cool.
Yeah, and so it's like I just do my Indiegogo just strictly for a print run. So it's like I'm going for like 1,000, 1,300. I make most of my monies at cons.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
the
so
way to do
that's
it. Yeah.
and like I said, I'm actually a pretty decent salesman, and like my stuff has been, my sales numbers have been rising. So it's like I'm on a good trend.
Oh,
You
good.
know, so like that's really exciting. So like that's kind of one of my advantages where it's like I'm not trying to go for like 2, 3, 4,000. I'm just trying to go for 1,300. So it's a lot easier for me to meet my goals.
Yeah, and that's smart too. Every new creator that's about to jump into crowdfunding, that's what I always tell them. Think small, small goals. You know,
Yeah, and like the
try
money
to.
from the cons, it funds the development of the comic. Like I don't even fund the cost of the like for the cost of making the comic is done by the cons. The Indiegogo is strictly for printing and shipping.
Yeah.
And then any money left over I might put into other stuff. So it's like, it's just kind of a back and
Yeah,
forth.
use that extra money to pay for con tables or whatever the
Mm-hmm.
and then do you also do in demand? I would imagine you keep it open
I do
after.
in demand. I keep it open for a little while, but like Return Samurai eventually kind of closed it because like I plan to reopen it. Like I was doing a Gumroad, but like for some reason I wasn't able to withdraw my money because like Stripe banned me for fraudulent activity, but like I've never even had an account with them for some reason.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, so
That's odd.
basically, Gumroad had to send it to me through PayPal. So I think for right now, I'm going to use Indie Planet for physical fulfillment until I can figure out something else. I might just stick with Indie Planet, but it's just kind of a stopgap. And then digitally, it's going to premiere first on Global Comics. I love that site so much.
Yeah, they're great.
Especially now that Comixology is not really what it was.
Yeah.
Um, and then,
Comixology, like when Alterna put like the first 3 issues of the Mighty Mascots on there, it was like pirated instantly, and it was like, and the Comixology's like, oh, whatever, they didn't do
I mean,
anything about it.
my
Like,
my my like when it comes to piracy, it's like people are gonna pirate and if what they're gonna find a way. Even if you don't release it digitally, if they really want to pirate it, they're gonna scan it.
yeah, exactly.
So
So
it's kind of foolish to stop. The only thing you can do about pirate, like that's why with my comics, it's like I put it on Global Comics, and then a few months after that, I put it on Webtoon. I
yeah,
put the whole thing. Like once a comic has run its course, and like all the people who want to pay for it have paid for it, I just put the whole thing up on Webtoon for free. Because my thinking is, it's like people who want to pirate it, they know it's free on Webtoon. They'll just go see it on Webtoon, and so I turn potential pirates into view engagement.
yeah, there you go. That's not a bad
It's like
idea.
because if people are going to pirate it, I might as well direct them to a source where they can read it for free
And it'll
and get stuff out
benefit
of it.
you. Yeah, definitely.
And so it's like, so issue 2 Return Samurai is going to come out in September on Global Comics, and then December I'm going to put it on Webtoon, like after it run its course, because like in my opinion, the people
And
who
then
buy
just sell it
physical,
locally at shows and stuff.
yeah, and then like if you want it physically online, they can go on Indie Planet, because the people who buy physical don't like digital and physical are kind of separate audiences to a degree.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and so like even if it's pirated to heck online, you're still gonna have healthy physical sales.
Yeah.
And so like for me, digital is a supplement to the physical sales, and so that's kind of how I see it. I'm not relying on it. It's more of a supplementary material, because like most of my money is going to come from physical. And so yeah.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Yeah, definitely.
That's my philosophy anyway.
Yeah, and I like to do I like to do conventions, and I also like to keep a presence online, so I do both. It's like a 50-50 thing for me. So
I did a local show, and someone actually came up to my booth, and they said something that kind of made my day. Like they saw my booth, and
mm-hmm.
the first thing the guy said was like, "Oh, issue 2! I've been waiting for this one."
Oh, that's cool. That's a good
Because
thing
like
to
he had
hear,
bought
yeah.
issue 1 at a former show, and like he actually said that, and like that made my day because that's a high compliment.
Yeah,
that is
great.
a really freaking high compliment that like I'm actually starting to get a fan base. Like,
yeah,
and
they liked it enough
really
to want to get the second one. That's perfect, you know.
Yeah, and
that's
like
great,
the fact
man.
that like they were looking at cons to find me, you know, that makes me really happy.
Now you just need a few thousand of those, and you're good. You know, right?
I'm getting there. Like I've sold a few hundred
that's how
copies
you
of
do
issue
it. I
one,
mean,
so
we call this, you know, like that's what comics is like a constant, like, you know, it's, I call it being in the trenches. It's like a constant, like, you got to get out there because if you don't push it, no one else is gonna, you know. So
yeah, basically the way I see it is, it's like you're a pebble going down a snowy mountain, and then the more you go, the more snow you accumulate, and the more snow you accumulate, the faster you accumulate snow, and eventually you turn into an avalanche. So it's like, so this is kind of the thing that helps me keep going, and I've seen this bear fruit. Like honestly, like I've like. With Twitter, like the more Twitter followers I get, the faster I seem to get Twitter followers, the more people pay attention to me, the easier it is. Like I'm closing in on 900 followers on Twitter right now, so
that's awesome.
You know,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, my goal is to get 1,000 before the year's end, and that's like at this point is very possible.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's like for me, it's like, you know, and it gets easier the more you push stuff. And I'm sure like you're kind of a few rungs up the ladder higher than me, and I'm sure you've kind of seen this for yourself, you know.
Yeah, like I said, I've been doing stuff since like 2005, so it's like that's when my Pebble started. So now I'd say it's maybe about a tiny, maybe like a 3-inch rock now, maybe, or something, you know, or maybe like a tiny little boulder or something, you know. But
yeah, for me, it's like I got a little bit of snow on me, and I'm starting to slide down the hill, you know, like you know,
it's and like doing the shows, like networking with people is huge, and you know, jumping on YouTube channels,
local creators,
doing a newsletter. I that one I just discovered recently, and that one's really interesting.
One thing a lot of creators, I think one thing is they need to put themselves out there in their local scene more. I think that's they focus on online a little bit too much. I mean, online is important. Online is very important, but you need to be in your local scene because those people in your local scene are your most important people.
Yeah,
those are the people. Definitely. Those are the people who you win over first because like they see you. Because like if you can get a local following, that's a really good stepping stone.
Yeah, definitely. And I know some people have a hard time with it, that are introverts and stuff like that. But you know, and Pete says this a lot. You know, if you're not gonna push a comic, no one's gonna. So it's like
honest, and that's kind of where one of my advantages is I'm actually kind of an extrovert, like to the point where like I like doing those. I never feel more alive than when I'm at these cons selling the comic, because like for me it's just such an exhilarating positive feedback loop, and like
definitely.
Like selling it to people, getting them to buy the comic, and it's just like the feedback loop. Like I live for those moments. I love it. They're exhilarating. So obviously that energy just kind of propels me into selling more stuff.
And it's positivity too, right? So you put out positive, you get positive back, you know.
Yeah, and
so many people, if they put out negative, you know, that's what they get back, you know, basically.
Yeah, like that's kind of an important thing to kind of touch on is I think we're kind of starting to see kind of a shift back towards positive. Like, I think people are just getting sick and tired about complaining about everything. Like honestly, my Twitter is, can I meme myself to 10,000 subs? Yes. It's like it's full of memes. I encourage people, you know, like, do I complain about stuff from time to time? Yeah. Do I put videos on YouTube where I'm talking about stuff or whatever, you know, like, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not perfect.
Everyone does, you know. It's the way you do it, like, I think that matters. Like, you know, you could complain about something with hate in your heart, or you can complain about something and give it, like, you know, you look at it with a critical eye, and you know, things like that. So it's...
like, for example, WB, and like because I'm a Snyder Cut guy, and I see the signs of like, oh, it's coming back, yay! Like Henry Cavill might have filmed scenes for Black Adam, you know, or like, you know, Ezra Miller kind of stuff, you know, like, you know, talk about that, you know, and it's like, yeah, sure it's a touch negative, but like I try to be like, yeah, it's coming back, we're winning, kind of stuff. So
yeah, if you like it, then why not? Like I actually like the Snyder cut too. I mean, I would rather see more of that, but
yeah, because like my philosophy is passion is everything. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, if you're not passionate about what you're creating, what's even the point of even doing it? Because if you're passionate about something, it will reflect in your work. And honestly, it's a lot easier to pitch something when you're passionate about that. So it's like,
yeah,
I'm very adamant about like the stuff I create. I gotta be passionate about it. I gotta love it, because for me, if I don't get excited about the idea of rushing to my computer and writing out the story, it's not worth doing.
Forget it. Yeah,
I gotta
exactly.
love. It's like I gotta be the first fan. You gotta be the first fan of your stuff. You're the first fan of Mighty Mouse. I'm sorry. I called it Mighty Mouse. I'm really sorry.
Mighty Mascots.
I'm sorry. That
Mighty Mouse might be good, though. Might be a good one.
Crossover.
Yeah, there you go.
But, like, you're the first fan of Mighty Mascots. I'm the first fan of Screecher. It's like, we got to be our own ambassadors. And
then you got to bring that excitement when you're trying to tell somebody about it,
Yeah, and like I remember I was talking to this one guy, Nicholas Mule. He does that kind of like really cool guy, and he's like talk about stuff you're interested on Twitter. So it's like I started talking more about video games, Kamen Rider, and just like doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like it's stuff that I obviously like, and I can be passionate about it. And it's like because the social media game is it's all about getting people who like your energy and want to vibe off of you.
Yeah,
that's what this is all about. And so I try to be positive, enthusiastic, kind of stuff. Like I'll shit post, meme, whatever. But like I don't try to bring I try to lift people up. I don't tear people down. Like every now and then I'll get into an argument with people. That's just me being human. And I just try to be myself. Obviously. I don't broadcast my political leanings, but at the same time, I don't hide them either. That's it's kind of the tightrope I walk, where it's like, anyone who kind of looks into my post, okay, they'll see where I lean, but I don't try to be outwardly broadcasting with it,
Yeah,
I feel like that's really important.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It's all about how you present yourself, and
because I want to be the guy where people will be like, okay, I don't agree with him politically, but he doesn't go into politics very often. And I can just ignore the times when he does. Like that's basically what I want to be. Where it's like, sure, I'll talk about politics sometimes, but like that's not the main focus of what I do. But I'm not gonna hide my politics. I'm not gonna hide it from people. That's kind of an honesty issue because I like to be honest with people. You know? But yeah,
you shouldn't have to hide. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's a good way to do it and a bad way to do it. So
I just don't really feel like I'm trying to sell my comics, and like politics is divisive by nature. So it's like, it's in my best interest to not constantly talk about it. I think that's kind of the problem with creators on both sides of the aisle, is they talk too much about comics, talk too much about politics and not about the comics.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's more important to you, making a comic or...
I'm not here to piss people off.
Talking stupid politics, I'm the same way. I actually don't really care about politics all that much. So I when I post on my Twitter, I just post like fun memes too, and like stuff I'm into, and then post about my comics and
like honestly, the post that gets like there's two types of posts that get the most engagement: a really funny meme and like my Screecher post. Like my Screecher post.
That's the way it should be, right?
Like my memes can like really blow the fuck up. But my Screecher posts get like when I post really good stuff about Screecher, gets 10, 20, 30 likes, which is pretty good.
Awesome.
But like my memes can get like 100, hundreds, even 1,000 stuff. Like it is crazy how much my memes blow up. But it's good engagement.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Like I remember posting something on mine too, a meme a while ago, and it just blew up, and it was funny because I didn't really think much of it. I just put it out there,
yes.
And
you want to know the post that I have that has some of the highest likes?
Yeah.
It's a stupid Godzilla meme that I posted about Godzilla being effing cool, and it got 30,000 likes.
Holy shit!
Like it went legitimately viral, and It was a stupid Godzilla post that because I actually mine Facebook for I see it, download it, repost it. I saw it on Facebook and it was like, oh yeah, this is cool, and then I reposted it, and for 3 or 4 weeks it was just climbing, and I got
crazy.
31,000 likes on it. It's just fucking insane that I'm sorry, it's just I'm getting. Oh, to be fair, I'm getting excited, so that's fair. But
yeah, no, it's
insane. That is my most popular post. Is a fucking Godzilla meme. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that's my most popular post. It couldn't
you know what you should do now is go through that post and then follow everybody that liked it. And see if they follow you back. Yeah. Why not?
It's an idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we kind of went a little bit over on this. So we got any
no, that's fine.
People?
What's that? What was the
got any
question?
final words you want to say for people?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention if you check out Mighty Mascots on Indiegogo. It would
help if I actually posted it.
Oh, sorry.
It's just we got the talking and just
it was a good discussion. So yeah, I was gonna say check out
Indiegogo for you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, check it out. It's when I tell people about the comic, it's basically if you took a Saturday morning cartoon and jammed it with Justice League, and then it came out in the 80s, basically. It's an all ages book. Yeah, it's like Super Friends, I guess, but a little more. I don't want to say adult, but it's all ages, but it's all ages in the way Spider-Man and Batman were in the 1980s. So it's like a
TVY7 FV kind of thing.
Kinda, yeah. Where it's an adult can enjoy it and a kid can enjoy it, but it's not that YA stuff that they put out, where it's
it's like a Batman anime series, Batman
Beyond,
Justice
perfect,
League, Justice League Unlimited.
Yes, perfect, exactly that. Where a little bit of blood, no blood, usually, and no swearing, but there's real stakes there, and it's real, fisticuffs and things like that. So, my feeling is when people read it, I want them to feel like they just poured a big bowl of sugary cereal and sat down for 3 hours of cartoons, So,
yeah.
But check it out. It's on Indiegogo now. It's for issues 7, 8, and 9,
okay.
And you can get the entire series on there, 1 through 9, if you haven't read it yet.
Well, that answers that question.
Yep. So there's a lot of good tiers, a lot of good exclusive
Why is everyone afraid of issue 7?
What's that? Why
is everyone afraid of issue 7?
Because didn't 7 eat 8 9? Yep. But it's just a fun superhero book. So if you're looking for that out of comics, definitely check it out. And it's on newsprint, so it also has that nostalgia feel,
Ooh.
And it has exclusive covers that Alterna won't be selling eventually. You can only get them through me, basically. So.
And then if people want to follow you, follow the Mighty Mascot.
Yep, right there. I'm pretty active on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And then there's also my website, heroenvy.com, that you can go there and you can get all my social media links. I'm everywhere. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook.
You've been everywhere, man.
Exactly. Just like anybody, right? Selling a comic, they got to be everywhere, on the socials. So check me out and hit me up. Follow me. I follow back, all that fun stuff.
All right. Well, thank you for stopping by. And this has been Nick from the Phoenix
Nick.
Press. This has been my boy Keith. And so remember, I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.